Every year, like clockwork, the ritual begins. We string lights around our homes, drag evergreen trees into our living rooms, and bow before them with offerings wrapped in colorful paper. We sing songs we didn't write, repeat phrases we never questioned, and tell our children a story about an all-seeing being who watches their every move, keeps a list of their sins, and rewards or punishes them accordingly. We call it Christmas. We call it the most wonderful time of the year. But what if the story you were handed is only the surface? A warm, glittering mask over something much older, much stranger, and much darker. What if the holiday you were taught to cherish was built on the bones of forgotten gods, blood-soaked festivals, and occult symbols hiding in plain sight? Look at the tree in your living room, the wreaths on your doors, the star on top, the jolly old man in red who flies through the sky, sees everything, judges everyone, and demands unquestioning belief. You were told it's all innocent tradition, but behind every symbol, there's a history. Behind every ritual, there's an origin. And history doesn't care if you know it or not. This is not a cute Christmas special. This is a journey into the shadows behind the lights, down into the underbelly of winter festivals, Roman cults, solar worship, corporate mind control, and a culture that taught us to say gimme instead of give. If you keep watching, understand something. You can't unknow what you're about to learn. Once you see the threads, you'll start seeing them everywhere. On billboards, in store windows, in cartoons for your children. So ask yourself right now, are you sure you know what you're celebrating? Long before anyone whispered the name Christmas, the darkest days of winter belonged to other gods. In ancient Rome, the midwinter festival was called Saturnalia, named for the god Saturn, a devourer of time, a reaper of ages, often shown as an old man with a sickle. For days, sometimes weeks, the city exploded into chaos. Slaves were temporarily freed, social roles were inverted, drunkenness and gambling were everywhere. It was a carnival of excess offered in honor of a god of agriculture, time, and sacrifice. The world was entering its coldest, darkest point. The sun was weak and low on the horizon. People feared starvation, death, and the unknown. So they did what humans have always done when they're afraid. They created rituals. They lit fires and torches to call back the sun. They feasted to defy the emptiness of winter. They honored gods who controlled time, harvest, and fate. Rome didn't just celebrate Saturnalia. Another cult rose to power. The cult of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. Its feast day? Late December. Around the time when the sun, from the Earth's viewpoint, appears to stand still for a few days, the winter solstice, before slowly climbing higher in the sky again. The sun was dying and rising again. Darkness swallowing light, then spitting it back out. Travel north, and you find the Yule festivals of Germanic and Norse peoples. Fires in the night. Evergreen trees and boughs brought indoors as symbols of life that didn't surrender to winter's death. Animals sacrificed. Stories told of spirits walking in the long, frozen darkness. Different cultures, different names, same pattern, a dark season, a dying sun, a god or gods whose fate mirrors the sky, and human beings, terrified and hopeful, performing rituals to coax the light back. Centuries before the word Christmas existed, the blueprint was already there, a midwinter ritual built around fear of darkness and a desperate longing for rebirth. The date, the mood, the symbols, they were all in place, waiting to be repackaged. Empires don't like chaos, they like control. As the Roman Empire shifted toward Christianity, it faced a problem. People loved their old festivals. They were not going to simply abandon their midwinter feasts, their fires, their evergreens, their wild rituals in honor of the sun and the old gods. So the empire used a trick still used today: rebranding. Instead of erasing the pagan festivals, they wrapped them in new names, new stories, and new symbols, but kept the dates and many of the practices. The winter festivities honoring Saturn and Sol Invictus did not disappear. They were baptized. The birth of Jesus, a figure with no historically confirmed birth date, was assigned, conveniently, to late December. Around the time of the solstice, around the time of Saturnalia, around the time of the unconquered sun's feast, the Son of God blurred with the Son of God. Sun worship slid under a new theological mask. The people still lit candles, still brought in evergreens, still feasted in the darkness. But now they were told it was for a different story. A holy infant, a manger, a virgin mother, a star in the sky. Ask yourself, if the goal was pure devotion to a new faith, why keep the old pagan dates and customs at all? Why not start fresh? The answer is simple. You don't tear down a loved ritual. You inherit it. You own it. You change its name and pretend it was always yours. The empire understood something crucial. Control the festivals, and you control the emotional rhythm of a people's lives. Over time, most people forgot the old gods, the old titles, the old meanings. But the skeleton of the festival stayed the same. The midwinter ritual was still there, just wearing a different mask. Today, we call it tradition. But tradition is just propaganda that survived long enough to feel normal. Now that the mask is in place, look again at the symbols we treat as harmless decoration. The Christmas tree, a towering evergreen, brought indoors, set in the place of honor. We wrap it in lights, dress it in ornaments, crown it with a star or an angel. Then we place gifts at its base, bowing down, literally, to retrieve them. In many ancient traditions, trees were more than plants. They were axes between worlds. The world tree, the axis mundi, the bridge between heaven, earth, and the underworld. Pagans respected evergreens because they defied winter's death. They stayed alive when everything else seemed to die. So the symbol of the life that doesn't die now becomes the center of a festival that supposedly celebrates eternal life. Coincidence or continuity? The wreath on your door, a circle, no beginning, no end, often made of evergreen branches. In pagan rites, circles marked sacred space, symbolized eternity, cycles of death and rebirth. You hang it as decor, but in older contexts, the circle is a ritual zone, a doorway between worlds. The mistletoe. In old European traditions, it wasn't just for kissing. It was linked to fertility, potency, and sometimes even sacrificial rites. Now it hangs quietly above you at the office party, a forgotten echo of old magic dressed up as flirtation. And the lights, strings of tiny suns wrapped around homes and trees. We say we're celebrating the light of the world, but for centuries, people lit candles and fires in late December to coax the sun back from death. They were performing sympathetic magic, create light on earth to invite light in the sky. Then there's the star on top of the tree. We're told it's the Star of Bethlehem, guiding wise men. But stars have long been potent occult symbols, sigils of power drawn in the sky. 5-pointed stars, 8-pointed stars, radiating solar disks, all loaded with layers of meaning. Here's the unsettling part. You don't have to believe in magic for symbols to work on you. Symbols work because they bypass the logical mind. They speak directly to the subconscious, to memory, to inherited patterns you don't even realize you carry. You think you're just decorating. The question is, who wrote the script of what you decorate with? He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. So be good, for goodness sake. We tell children this like it's cute. Listen to the words again. An all-seeing entity that watches you constantly, that judges your behavior, that keeps a list of your sins and rewards or withholds blessings based on obedience, that moves through the sky, enters your home at night, and leaves offerings by your altar, your tree. Sound familiar? To the conspiracy-minded, Santa Claus isn't just a jolly fairy tale. He's a composite figure, part folk saint, Saint Nicholas, part Saturn-like old god, part sky deity, part corporate mascot, an all-seeing judge wrapped in red and white. Consider Saturn, an old man associated with time, harvest, and judgment. Often depicted as grim, but when Rome celebrated Saturnalia, the mood flipped. Feasting, revelry, a temporary release from rules before order and control snapped back into place. Now look at Santa, an old man associated with the end of the year, the tallying up of who's been naughty or nice. He arrives at the darkest time when the year is dying. He's jovial, but stands on a foundation of judgment and surveillance. The song literally says you're under watch. Even his name carries a chill for some, Santa. Arrange the letters differently, and you get Satan. Is that just coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. But the symbolism piles up. Then there's the question of his modern image. The plump, red-suited, white-bearded Santa we know today didn't fall from the sky. Throughout the early 20th century, advertisers, most famously Coca-Cola, ran powerful campaigns that standardized his look. The red suit, the white trim, the rosy cheeks, the twinkle in the eye. They turned a patchwork of regional legends into a single, unified, global brand. A brand attached to sugar, to consumption, to a brown, fizzy liquid sold in red and white packaging. Think about it. A powerful midwinter figure, historically tied to judgment and reward, is reshaped into a friendly mascot for corporations. The god of gifts is now the god of sales. The judge of morality becomes the promoter of products. Children around the world are programmed, from infancy, to adore a character whose primary function is to justify buying things. Is Santa really just harmless fun? Or is he a frontman? A smiling mask over older archetypes of control, softened and sweetened to sell you sugar, plastic, and debt. At minimum, Santa is proof of one thing. If you can capture a symbol and make it lovable, you can steer entire cultures without them ever realizing they're being led. If you strip away the decorations, the carols, the nativity scenes, and the Santa suits, what is the dominant energy of modern Christmas? Buy. Buy more. Buy now. Stores begin decorating months in advance. Black Friday bleeds into Cyber Monday. Christmas sales become holiday events, then become simply the fourth quarter bottom line. The message is relentless. If you love, you spend. If you care, you buy. We were told Christmas was about giving, but look closely at how the system teaches us to give. We are trained to give by consuming, by exchanging money for objects, many cheap, many disposable, many made by unseen hands in unseen factories. We are told, show your love with things. The price tag becomes a proxy for affection. Relationships get translated into receipts. And if you can't afford it, easy. Put it on a card, go into debt, pay later. The celebration of joy and peace quietly fattens the profits of banks and corporations, while families sit at kitchen tables in January wondering how the numbers will work. This isn't an accident, it's a ritual pattern. Once a year, the culture enters a collective trance. Lights go up, music plays, familiar stories trigger nostalgia and longing. Under that emotional cover, billions are spent. Economic statistics literally depend on this ritual. News anchors will tell you, with a straight face, that a bad holiday shopping season is a national problem, as if the health of a society is measured by how much it can consume in 1 month. Who benefits from that belief? Then there's the darker layer: distraction. While people are busy chasing sales, wrapping gifts, attending mandatory parties, and performing the script of cheer even when they're exhausted and miserable, how much energy is left to question anything? To ask where these traditions came from? To notice what's happening behind the scenes, in politics, in finance, in the slow erosion of their own independence? A good ritual doesn't need whips and chains. All it needs is habit plus emotion. Attach enough nostalgia, enough fear of missing out, enough guilt for not participating, and people will police themselves. You don't have to force them to the altar of consumption. They'll line up on their own. If you want a belief to last, don't waste time on adults. Teach it to children. From their earliest years, kids are immersed in Christmas programming, animated specials, movies where the magic of Christmas must be saved, songs on repeat in every store, school plays, visits to malls where they are placed on a stranger's lap and coaxed to confess their desires. At first glance, it's all cute, harmless, tradition. Look at the core message. There is a being who watches you at all times. He lives far away, in a place you can't see. He keeps records of everything you do. He categorizes you as naughty or nice. Once a year, based on your performance, he delivers rewards or withholds them. You don't get to see the process. You just have to trust that it's fair. Children are told to sit on his knee and confess what they want, to write him letters, to adjust their behavior because Santa is watching. If an adult figure did this outside of a holiday context, we would call it what it is: surveillance conditioning. A soft training in accepting an unseen authority that constantly observes and judges. Then came the elf on the shelf, a toy sold as a fun tradition, where a small elf doll moves around the house, reporting children's behavior back to Santa. Kids are told to behave because the elf is watching. Again, training. The normalization of being watched. The transformation of surveillance into a game. Add to this the emotional soundtrack. Songs that equate happiness with presents. Movies where saving Christmas usually means saving the delivery of gifts, not preserving deep spiritual truth. The repetition is hypnotic. By the time a child is old enough to question the Santa story, the rhythms of the holiday have already carved grooves in their psyche. Even when they stop believing in Santa, the emotional pattern remains. December. Gifts, pressure, social performance, and the terror of being left out. Most parents say, it's just for fun, they grow out of it. But what they don't grow out of is the association. That love, approval, and belonging are tied to how well they play, along with a system that keeps score. When a society introduces children to an all-seeing judge, teaches them to confess desires to it, and rewards them for compliance, it's not just a story, it's a rehearsal. The question is, a rehearsal for what? On the surface, Christmas is wrapped in words like love, peace, and joy. For many, it genuinely is a time of family, generosity, and reflection. That's real. That matters. But in the conspiracy lens, this is exactly how inversion works. You take something that looks like light and build it on a foundation of something else. You redirect the energy of millions of people away from inner transformation and toward outer performance. You trade soul for spectacle. Ask yourself, who or what actually receives the bulk of worship during the modern Christmas season? Is it a higher power, or is it the market? Where do people direct their time, their stress, their sacrifices? To meditation and service? Or to malls, websites, and social media performances of their perfect holiday? How many hours of December are spent in quiet contemplation compared to hours spent shopping, wrapping, worrying about money, and trying to meet expectations? In spiritual terms, worship isn't just singing hymns. Worship is devotion of energy, what you give your life force to, what you fear disappointing, what you sacrifice for. By that measure, modern Christmas is a massive, coordinated ritual of devotion to consumption, to brands, to images, to a carefully crafted fantasy that leaves many people feeling empty when the wrapping paper is gone and the bills arrive. Even the light versus darkness theme can invert quietly. Instead of confronting our personal darkness, our loneliness, grief, unresolved conflicts, people are pressured to paste a smile over everything. It's Christmas. Be happy. Those who can't match the script feel broken, like something is wrong with them. Meanwhile, the actual shadows, debt, exploitation of workers, environmental waste, the quiet despair of those left out, are hidden under twinkling lights. From the occult angle, this is a perfect spell, a ritual that harvests human energy, time, money, attention, under the cover of good feelings and nostalgic songs. No one is saying you must hate Christmas. The point is more unsettling. You might not fully understand what you're plugging into when you flip the switch on those lights. If a system can convince you that the height of spiritual celebration is overwork, overspending, and overconsumption, then perhaps the darkness hasn't been defeated at all. Perhaps it just learned to wear a Santa hat. So where does this leave you? You can't change the past. Saturnalia happened. Sol Invictus was worshipped. Yule fires burned in the dark forests. Empires rebranded old gods with new names. Corporations hijacked legends and turned them into advertising tools. Children were fed stories that trained them for a world of surveillance and consumption. You can't undo any of that. But you can decide right now what you will do with that knowledge. You can keep playing along blindly, going through the motions because that's what we do. Or you can step back and look at the holiday the way it looks from a distance, as a layered ritual built from history, myth, power, and profit. Seeing the pattern doesn't force you to abandon everything. It gives you the power to choose. You might decide to strip things down. Less money, more meaning. Fewer gifts, more presents. You might keep some symbols but reclaim their meaning in your own way. You might choose to ignore the shopping frenzy, the pressure, the performance, and instead use the darkest days of the year for what they've always whispered to us. Go inward, face yourself, kindle a light that can't be sold. Or you might do nothing. You might hear all this, feel the chill, and then let the wave of tradition wash over you again, because it's easier not to rock the boat. That's your choice. But understand this, you can't unhear what you've heard. The Christmas tree will never again be just a tree. Santa will never again be just a jolly old elf. The lights, the wreaths, the shopping, the songs, you'll know they sit on top of a deep, ancient, sometimes unsettling undercurrent. The spell doesn't break when the decorations come down. The spell breaks the moment you see it. And now, you've seen it. So the next time you stand before a glowing tree in a dark room, ask yourself quietly, whose ritual is this? Who wrote this script? And if I had the courage, how would I rewrite it? Because in the end, the most dangerous magic isn't the one performed by priests, pagans, or corporations. It's the magic we perform on ourselves every time we choose comfort over truth.